On July 6, 1892, Jose Rizal was arrested for allegedly carrying a pamphlet that entitled Pobre Fraile that was known to be satiric. It was allegedly been found at the pillowcase of Lucia, the sister of Rizal. He denied it, but it became the prime mover of his new normal life until his execution. Gobernador General Ramon de Pujol ordered the arrest of Dr. Jose Rizal. Dr. Rizal was escorted by the general's nephew going to Fort Santiago. He was kept incommunicado. After a day, on July 7, 1892, there was an issuance of deportment. He was deported to the Pitan with the rationale of disloyalty to Spain in his writings, the dedication to the Gomborza of the Noli Me Tangere, and the possession of the Pobre Fraile. His life in the Pitan was an exile that began when he boarded the steamer Cebu, bringing a letter to stay at Jesuit parish to retract, change his conduct, and perform church rites. But he did not agree with it. Consequently, as a prisoner, Dr. Jose Rizal lived at the house of his warden, which is Ricardo Carcinero. After gathering as much evidences as possible, the preliminary investigation on Rizal began. During the investigation, Rizal was informed of the charges against him before Judge Advocate Colonel Francisco Olive. He was put under investigation without the benefit of knowing who testified against him. The court had presented two kinds of evidences against Rizal, namely the documentary and testimonial evidences. Testimonial evidences were comprised of oral proofs provided by Martin Constantino, Aguedo del Rosario, Jose Reyes, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Domingo Franco, Diodato Arellano, Dio Valenzuela, Antonio Salazar, Francisco Quezon, and Timoteo Paez. The documents were the letter of Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce on the reform campaign. Second is the letter to his family that encourages hatred of people to tyranny, and his connection to the propaganda campaign in Spain from Marcelo H. del Pilar, and many shreds evidence were presented. After a brief review, Captain Rafael Dominguez transmitted the records to Don Nicolas de la Peña, the Judge Advocate General, for an opinion. On the 11th of December 1896, in the presence of Spanish counsel, charges against Rizal were read. He pleaded his innocence, but he was still convicted on all three charges of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy, and sentenced to death. It was Don Luis Taviel de Andrade who defended Dr. Jose Rizal. He was a lieutenant of the artillery and the brother of his bodyguard, Lieutenant Jose Taviel de Andrade. Rizal pleaded not guilty to the crimes of rebellion and admitted that he wrote of the Constitution. 2 days after Rizal's case was endorsed to Blanco's successor, Governor Camelio de Polavieja, who had the authority to command the case, to be court-martialed. On December 15, inside his cell at Fort Santiago, Rizal wrote the controversial manifesto addressed to his countrymen, a letter denouncing bloody struggle and promoting education and industry as the best means to acquire independence. However, Judge Advocate General Nicolas de la Peña requested to Governor Polavieja that the publication of the manifesto should be prohibited, and so the governor did. Accustomed to share the merry season with family, friends, and relatives, the 1896 Christmas was indeed Rizal's saddest. The next day, December 26, about 8 o'clock in the morning, the court-martial of Rizal commenced. The hearing was actually a kind of moro-moro, a planned trial wherein Rizal, before hearing his verdict, had already been prejudged. Unlike other accused, Rizal had not been allowed to know the people who witnessed against him. The trial took place at Cuartel de España, a military building with a court composed of 7 military officers headed by Lieutenant Colonel Jose Tagores Arjona. Present at the courtroom were Jose Rizal, the 6 other officers in uniform, Lieutenant Tavel de Andrade, Judge Advocate Captain Rafael Dominguez, Lieutenant Enrique de Alcocer as a prosecuting attorney, and a number of spectators including Josephine Brackett. After Judge Advocate Dominguez opened the trial, it was followed by Attorney Alcocer's reiteration of the charges against Rizal, urging the court that the latter be punished with death. Accordingly, the three crimes accused to him were rebellion, sedition, and illegal association. Lieutenant Tovel de Andrade, on the other hand, later took the floor reading his speech in defense of Rizal. To supplement this, Rizal read his own defense which he wrote in his cell in Fort Santiago. However, the military court remained indifferent to the pleas of Rizal. On that same day, after a short deliberation, the court's decision was submitted to Gobernador General Polavieja with the verdict of death. On December 28, 1896, Gobernador General Polavieja signed the order of execution to be done at Bagumbayan at 7 a.m. in the morning on December 30, 1896.